So I've been testing skates for years now, and one of the most important things of testing them to me is seeing how the stock groove performs. But because of a recent experience, I think I'm going to have to change the way I test them. But before we get into that, I think we've got to talk about what makes a good groove, or what makes a good groove to you. I'd love to know you specifically. For me, I thought this question was really simple to answer, but the more I thought about it, the more complicated it got. But just to state what I think would make a good groove for me, number one is long-term wheel bite protection. I want a frame that's going to feel the same and grind the same for as long as possible. Doesn't matter if it skates really good for the first week, if like 2 weeks in, it's a completely different feel, if it's no longer protecting me from wheel bite. The next thing that's important to me is that the wheels are in a position in which they're still quite maneuverable. It doesn't feel like I'm locked in train tracks. I can turn tight, I can turn on the spot, and have that flat maneuverability. The groove can't be really wide and feel like a train track. And the final most important thing I want from a frame is that it allows me to do pivot switch ups. I'm talking front nuke to topsole without having to jump. I can keep contact with the thing I'm grinding the whole time, just turn into it. Now these requests sound simple. That sounds like what a flat frame should do, but each one of these things has a trade-off, and you ultimately just have to find a sweet spot. You can't nail every single one. For example, a really tight groove like the Kaiser fluid frame is great for dodging wheel bite, but the trade-off for that is it's a lot harder to do these pivot switch-ups, and that's what I noticed skating those frames. They were great, no wheel bite on any obstacle, but I felt like I had to jump my front nuke into topsole, my royale to alley-oop topsole, all these switch-ups that I love, which makes them feel a lot less like how I like to skate. And the counter to that, if you get a wider groove, it's now much easier to hit the wheels. It might be easier to do pivot switch-ups, but the wheel bite protection might not be there. And if you add wheel bite protection, it will probably make these switch-ups harder, but more importantly, that wheel bite protection only works until you've worn it out. And there's been a few frames I've skated where they've been great straight away, but then a few weeks in, like a month in, once you've worn them in, that wheel bite protection's gone, and you're just skating on wheels. And maybe at a bad angle now because the groove's too wide, not narrow enough to naturally dodge the wheels. From my experience, I figured the most important thing in a flat frame was actually just the grind angle in general. It needs to naturally make it so that if you do touch the wheels, it's on a steep enough angle that you don't stick. But you're still grinding on wheels at that point, and if you kind of slip up even a little bit, if there's a little bit of error to how you land in a trick, it's gonna stick. And you're gonna have to wax everything, and that whole kind of skating vibe, you have to be very confident and very solid with your skating, which is something skaters do have. Some skaters are like that, a lot of the pros and stuff, but the average kind of skater like me, not going to be like that. I've heard a lot of people swear by the fact that you can just put harder wheels into to act like a big anti-rocker, but that doesn't really make sense to me. I've grinded on 88A wheels and it slides. I don't believe that a slightly harder wheel is going to be any better. And the thought of skating around on a wheel covered in wax, to me, you might as well be skating anti-rocker at that point, But I haven't tried it. Maybe I should. And what I'm going to talk about today might be a reason why I should try it. But anyway, and from my experience of skating flat for the last 6+ years and the variety of frames I've tried out, I thought I'd come to the conclusion that more important than anything, the angle that you grind at was the most important thing. Because no matter how much wheel bite protection was on a frame, long term, eventually that wheel bite protection will wear out. And what's more important is what angle the wheel will be touching on groove tricks. And I swear that was the case. I thought that was hands down. I thought it didn't really matter too much about the groove. It was all about the angle. I mean, I literally skated some rig skates and did a royale and it slid. That's just on wheels, nothing but wheel contact. And it slid better than some frames I skated that I had wheel bite on, which made no sense to me, It tells me that's not just the wheel that's the problem. And I think that has been reflected in my experience of doing first impressions of skates. I'll always test them by doing a royale and a front side. I'd say if you can do those tricks in the skate within the few tries, if I can do them without wheel bite on ledge, then the frame is designed well enough to be skated flat. And every skate I've ever skated has passed that test, even some that are pretty bad. And just off memory, the two setups that were the worst for skating flat stock would have to be the rollerblade blanks and the OG Rosie's M12, the Joe Atkinsons I had. Both of them seemed to work fine on the first day, but very quickly after became wheel bite hell for me. And I think it's got to do with breaking them in a little bit and just overall bad kind of middle ground groove that's trying to be anti-rocker and flat. So I've been doing that for years now. I try to do a Royale on a skate. If it goes well on the first day, then I think it's fine. If it's quite hard for me to do, then, you know, I'll let you know that it's probably a hard skate to skate flat. But when I was testing out the new Cougar skates, I decided to try do a back Nugan instead. And it was quite hard day one. This is a trick that I tend to not do that much, even though Nugans are, I do really like a Nugan, especially a 270 back Nugan. That's been one of my go-to tricks for years now. But just a straight back Nugan, I much prefer a Royale, and I do them like 10 times more. Royale's my safe trick, you know. But I wanted to do a Nugan of these, and I had a pretty bad time like getting boot down. I just wasn't getting boot down at all, and I'll post a clip feeling like I was boot down. Look at it, nowhere near boot down. But I did eventually get them, and it felt great. I was locking in, I was sliding good, and I was hyped on it, and I was like, damn, I need to do more Nugans more. I just gotta get a bit lower with it, you know? So after that, and after skating the Cougars for a bit, I wanted to go back to the skate that I have been liking the most, which is the T-neck skate. And I was like, you know, I've got to do some back Nugans in this. This is a skate that I've done like very little back Nugans in it because they've never felt good. There's something about it that's been extra hard, extra sticky, and I spent the whole session trying to get a back Nugan in these skates, and I just could not get a good one. I didn't film any of it. I kind of wish I did so I can see how wrong I was. And again, I should definitely preference that I have a bad knee right now, and the back Nugan is especially hard on my knee. But yeah, I was really struggling to get a back Nugan in these, despite the fact that in the Cougar skates, I could do it. I was getting it good. They were going good. But with these, I noticed wheel bite. I was getting a lot of wheel bite in this skate. And even worse than that, the kind of way you sit in a back Nugan, you know, the wheel would roll off the way I was leaning into it, making it very scary to commit to just a simple back Nugan, which is definitely quite heartbreaking because I've been absolutely loving this skate. And even when I put it on to go and skate now, it's a skate that feels like me. And the thought of a trick not being doable on it is super disappointing, especially because this is a non-UFS skate. And some people pointed this out to me in my review of the skate, the fact that it does not really take advantage of the fact that it's non-UFS, because I've been told this, I don't know for sure. Apparently this sole frame is just the T-neck frame, which is a UFS frame put on a sole, which makes sense. You know, you don't want to start a whole frame from scratch when you're making a new skate. But it does mean it's not really taking advantage of the fact that it doesn't have to dodge the UFS bolts, and means maybe the groove isn't that good. Again, you should never blame your equipment. You should always blame you if things aren't working. But I went to go sit down, see if I could just run my foot on the ledge in the back torque position in this skate, and it's straight wheel. I'm on the wheel every time. It's squeaking away, straight grinding on the wheel. And I'm very confused about that, because how can I do a root down Royale in this skate with no wheel bite, but not do a back Nugan with no wheel bite? But anyway, heartbreak aside from that, I wanted to see if any of my other skates were similar, you know, and if they would give me wheel bite. So I tried every skate I have. I went out day after day with a new skate to do a back Nugan on the ledge, and every other skate I had, I was getting wheel bite. This here, the Dairy frames, I love these frames. I skated them a ton, did some of my best skating in these frames, and it's the exact same problem as the T-necks. The back Nugan sits on the wheel. You have to grind on the wheel in a back Nugan. And I was doing some 270 back Nugans and stuff on these on ledge. I don't know. It's crazy. So I went out, I skated the T-necks, got wheel bite. I skated the M99s, got wheel bite. The M99s on Dairies. And then I went back to the Cougars, and I wasn't getting wheel bite. This is a brand new skate. This groove here on back Nugans had enough extra protection to allow me to do back Nugans. I can get away with like a sloppy one, you know, it doesn't stick on the wheels. You don't have to land boot down straight away. You can be a little off. This has good wheel bite protection that was saving me. And essentially this has left me feeling skateless, which is not a great place to be, because now I really like how this one, like the frame works and grinds, but the skate itself is a little too big and clunky for me, and it's a little heavy. And I tell you, when I jump back on the T-necks, it just feels way more like me. I can skate around way nicer. It feels good, where this feels not like how I want to skate, even though the frame and groove is definitely better, which sucks. So I have no idea what to skate now. And to bounce back to my kind of first point, the groove on the Cougars here is better for the back Nugans, and has a bigger range of wheel bite protection, if that makes sense. So I don't have to be as boot down to not get wheel bite. Whereas even in the TNX, I swear, even boot down, the wheel is touching. So I don't know. But the trade-off for that, again, is that this is not very easy to pivot, switch up skate. It feels a lot like the fluid frame to me. So again, if you want to do switch ups, you have to jump them, which is fine, but I prefer the pivot. But I think I've come to the conclusion that to be able to do the pivot, I have to have a groove that grinds on the wheel, doesn't have wheel bite protection, which means maybe it's finally come to the time where I need to try skate a harder wheel. But again, I just don't believe that's going to happen. I just really don't. I'm mostly just losing faith in flat frames, because there's a huge range of flat frames there that don't dodge the wheel on backslide tricks. Is it just how they are? I went and put these on a ledge, on the table ledge here, to see if I put them in a back nuking position or which ones the wheels don't touch. And the wheels do touch on the Derry Daries and the TNX, but not on the Cougars, and actually not on the 50/50 prime frames, which is interesting. I didn't actually take that one out because I was already scanning the thing. Maybe I'll try that one, see how it goes. I think another important variable to this is also the sole plate, because a sole plate, this is why making a UFS frame is kind of like an impossible task in the UFS age, because how big the sole plate is changes the Royale angle, and how steep the Royale angle is changes where the wheels or how the wheels are going to touch. So it almost doesn't really make sense to have the frame and the skate, or the frame and the sole plate, be so separate, because they work together. They should be one piece, you know. And the Royale angles on the TNX is much steeper than it is on the Cougars. I feel it in my knees when I switch between them. And again, back to my first point, that speaks to me that if I wore in these Cougar frames too hard, the angle is not going to be steep enough if I get to the wheels. I don't know if you will. It's quite a... You have to really skate them to get to the wheels. But when you do, if you do get to the wheel in these, the angle at a Royale is it's going to be even stickier, I think, than the TNX. Essentially, this whole experience and the skating that skates back to back has taught me that a better way for me to test grooves will be to do back nugans on the ledge. So from here out, I plan to do, I'll do a Royale still, but I'm going to make sure I try a back nugan in the skates before I determine whether the groove is good, because I feel like it might be more telling. I seem to notice a lot more about the groove in a back nugan versus the Royale. And maybe that's just because Royale is my safe trick. You know, who knows? Maybe the back nugan will become my safe trick too, and I will have no problems anymore. But yeah, I just really need to talk about this because I was going crazy. I just can't believe that's what happened to me. And I need some insight. Is there any way for me to save this skate? If I put a hard wheel in here, will it save it? I don't think it will. And I'm gutted about that because I love the TNX skates. And now I feel frameless and skateless. And I don't have money to buy a new skate anyway, and I have so many skates, I need a new skate. You know, it's not a great vibe. But yeah, any tips? I'd really appreciate it. Am I just bad at doing back nugans? Have you had that issue? Is it just a flat thing? Let me know. But yeah, massive thank you to my patrons. I would not be able to do this without them. Consider supporting me if you want to help me make more kind of pointless videos like this. And yeah, go for a skate today. I'll see you out there. Peace out.